Hey there, it's McCare. It is garden tour day. Yay! I realize it's been 6 weeks since the last garden tour. That kind of snuck up on me. You know how it is? You go out and your garden looks like it did yesterday mostly, right? And then it looks like it did the day before that, and next thing you know, it's been 6 weeks. Sorry. So last tour we talked about the strawberries and how they were having some magnesium deficiency. And you can still see there's a little bit. Let me get this leaf for you. So we have yellowing in the leaves and even in the new leaves, and the veins are still dark. So that's magnesium, and it's a lot better than it was. I did that kelp meal, which I told y'all about, and then I came back through with the banana peel tea, and I did that full strength and just put it through this worst area. And then it's just been watering in as I water and as it rains and things like that, and it is improving. The other problems that we've been having with the strawberries are doodle bugs, and I think they have a bit much nitrogen because we have some really big leaves in here, like this one. So I'm solving two problems at once with these, and that is that I am cutting off the bigger ones to give more energy to the plant for fruit production. And I am throwing the dead leaves or the removed leaves down on top of the bed for the doodle bugs to eat, because they really want decaying plant material. They're not really after fresh plant material. That's what they go to when they don't have any decaying plant material to eat. So if you don't want them eating your fruit, give them something else to munch on. One of the other things we talked about in the strawberry bed was this volunteer passion vine. And it's on a tripod trellis that kept falling down in the weather. My house friend and I came out here the other day, and both of us worked to stick it in the ground together, and it's stayed since then, and we've had a couple of storms. Let's hope. Do you remember me saying that I was putting in a new bed and it was going to be peppers and melons and things? Well, I haven't gotten to the melons yet, but I put in a lot of the peppers and some herbs. There's a butterfly. Hang on. So we have butterflies on the pineapple mint. It's not flowering, but it's going to hang out there anyway, and that's fine with me. I've put in a whole bunch of, that's shadowy, peppers over here. Lots of different varieties and lots of different sizes. I had a couple from a nursery because I was behind on them, and my house friend brought me some peppers home. And I had some that I potted up and some that I never got around to potting up. So I put in some little tiny peppers and some bigger peppers, and we have cilantro and dill and basils over here, a couple of varieties of dill, a few varieties of basil. You know, the regular Sharpie marker, well, that one always stays on my garden markers for me, but the fine point did not. And I started all my peppers and they were all marked with the fine point, so I ended up just planting peppers, and we'll see what kind of fruit they make. Yeah, you know. So I think last tour we also talked about this thyme, which at the time was really small, and it has grown so much. This is another one of those things that, you know, you see it every day and it's a little bit bigger the next day and not much, and you don't realize until you go back and watch the video. And I'll link it at the end if you want to do a comparison. That something has grown that much in just 6 weeks. It's wild. I also put in a little jigsaw pepper here. This one is easy to identify despite having no tags because jigsaws have very distinctive leaves. They are variegated with green, purple, and white. So they're quite beautiful. I've also had a lot of lettuce grow and become full and beautiful over here. Some of the basils are starting to get big, others are trying. The lettuce leaf, of course, has got a nice head start. And this yarrow, I'm not usually a fan of pinks, but this Colorado mix yarrow pack had just some gorgeous pinks in it. This is one of them, and it's very delicate and antique-y, and then I'll show you a bright one when we get over by the Fuji Guild. I'm pretty sure I've introduced you to my sage bush that is wildly huge, that I started from seed in 20 20 in the summer. It's gigantic. It's taken a lot of grasshopper damage and it does not seem to care. And the oregano behind it is also huge and flowering. So that's exciting. I mean, I know, wow! Hang on, this wolf spider is huge. Size comparison. That is a gigantic wolf spider. I'm gonna say 4 inches if, like, you smushed her and her legs were stretched all the way out. A good 3 inches the way she's sitting. Oh! I know their bite isn't that bad. If y'all were with me when I stuck my hand in the bag of soil that had one of those in it and it got me, it's not that bad, but I'm not going to volunteer to do it all the time. Let's put it that way. Anyways, sage is looking great. Oregano is looking great. Love them. So excited to have herbs that I started from seed just going wild. And I will start taking cuttings and propagating these soon when it gets higher on the list. You know how that goes. Here's another jigsaw pepper. This one has more variegation, so I'll show you so you can see what I was talking about, how easy it is to recognize. The actual jigsaw peppers are pretty. They're purple and red and they're small. And they have a habanero type flavor. But oh, she's sharp. But honestly, for the size of the pepper, I'd rather just grow habaneros for flavor. But the plant is so gorgeous. I just have to. Actually, my banchi that I'm growing, Tobin, he is a jigsaw pepper. If you know why I named my jigsaw pepper Tobin, go ahead and comment. I'm curious if I'm the only weirdo out there. Our rosemary bed is coming along nicely. The rosemary is in the middle and it's starting to fill out. I've cut the tops off of it and so it's starting to branch out more and fill in and it's looking really nice. And it has its nasturtium and its beans over there to help it grow. Both of those are fixing nitrogen, which grows leaves. And then we have our nasturtiums. You know I love nasturtiums. So we've got our nasturtiums over here sharing with a borage. We have some more nasturtiums over there. Making friends with a calendula who is making friends with a chamomile. And we have some other, we have lettuce and basils and other things in here. So I'm really looking forward to this bed. It has for years been a gigantic rosemary, but like I told you before, we lost that in the really bad freeze in 2020. And it's getting reestablished as that kind of a bed, but in the meantime, it's just going to host a lot of different stuff and hopefully be happy. So bits of the potted garden have moved around a little bit, which this nasturtium is enjoying because it's got more light now. But this particular pot is really, really exciting. So I planted one moringa in here, but last year I grew a moringa in this pot and I did not think that it made beans and dropped them, but it must have because there is a volunteer moringa growing in this pot. And it's outperforming the one that was there before, which, of course, anytime you have a plant that drops seed, makes it through your winter and comes back up in the spring, that's going to be a stronger plant than what you would have put in because it has already acclimated itself to your climate. So I am having very high hopes for the volunteer moringa. I've cut back a lot of the buckwheat that was contributing. Both of these are nitrogen fixers. You might learn I'm very fond of those, very fond of nitrogen fixers. Hello, baby chicken. And we have the turmeric coming up. There's turmeric in this pot, and I'll show you more around the garden as we go. So as you know, the chickens have their own gardens. This is their main garden. They do have a Malabar spinach under there. It is way under, and I cannot even get video of it. So I probably need to plant more of them in soil blocks and then transplant them because I don't think it's going to get any light in there. But they have their big, beautiful veg, which they enjoy. Hi, Cayenne. And they have their borage, which they've been enjoying a whole lot. Is this your favorite? Yeah. Go Gura. And then they have all their greens down underneath. Borp, borp. Cayenne, my borpy baby. Borp, 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 borp. What'd you say, sweetheart? You good, chicken? Yeah, you're the best? You're the best chicken? Play with your earlobe. I would play with your earlobe. I'm playing with your ears. She loves me. And you saw this little garden of theirs when it still had a cage around it. I took it off just to see how it goes, but I do have bricks. I think it's 5 bricks around it to like protect the roots so they can't dig them. But we do have another moringa here, another nasturtium, another comfrey, and some more buckwheat, all of which are nitrogen fixers. This area does not need nitrogen fixers, but these are also all safe for the chickens to eat, and there's no harm in putting in nitrogen fixers. And I am hoping that this moringa will get big and give them shade. But if not, it's okay. It smells wonderful. It smells like peanut butter. Like that whole tree smells like peanut butter. It's... Now I understand why I couldn't find a flower on the cucamelon to show you. Oh, she's always pecking at me. It does have some fruits on it. I did see flowers on it the other day, but I guess the chickens have been helping me get rid of them. Ooh, I see one. Hang on. So I still haven't tried the cucamelons. We have one that's like a 1/2 inch long, and you're supposed to wait till they're 1 inch long to eat them. Maybe I'll do it on video, taste the first one. I don't know. I'm a picky eater most of the time. We'll give it a shot. I'll take you with me. We'll do it. Here comes that part. You know which part this is. Sometimes you hear YouTubers say like, only such and such percentage of you are subscribed to my channel and the rest of you need to subscribe. Well, my percentage that is subscribed is around 28%. So 72% of you need to subscribe, please. If your subscribe button is red, could you please go and give it a little click? Thank you. That would tell YouTube that people like you want to watch videos like mine, and that helps them promote me, which helps me grow, which helps me support myself. And I would really appreciate that. The like button is also very helpful if you would feel more inclined to do that, or if you are already subscribed. I would appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. Now, I know you met the corn when it was like really, really young. I think maybe they just started to come up, or maybe I was about to plant them. Either way, they're coming up. Very early on, we had 3 volunteer watermelons in here and a bit more of the original corn. But there was a bit of a catastrophe, a chicken catastrophe, if you will. They got loose. And they got in here and they dug some of the corn and they dug up 2 of the volunteer watermelons, but the other one survived. And it is making tendrils and it is making flowers. So far, only male flowers, but that's okay. It'll get to the female flowers soon, and I've seen so many pollinators around the garden, so I'm really hopeful for that. We should have some good watermelons coming in this garden soon. One of the corns did lose its silks this morning. There were these little pink, very pink caterpillars on them, and my like 4th or 5th try trying to ID them came up with some type of butterfly. Ow, ant. And so we'll see how that one does. Others of the corns are just starting to get silks. And then I've been replanting the corn every 2 or 3 weeks apart. So we have a whole bunch coming up right now. And then there is also a sugar pie pumpkin back there. And there are some beans in here. Blue Lake bush beans are in here, as well as a sweet potato. You know how I like to experiment. So last fall, I had a sweet potato that I had overlooked somehow, and I set it on the ground over there for, I don't remember what I had intended. And I came back later and I was like, well, I think you live here now, sweet potato. and I threw some compost on top of it because it's right next to the compost bin. And I forgot it was there until the leaves started coming up, and they reminded me, and now I guess I'm growing sweet potatoes in the Three Sisters bed as well. So I actually put off recording this tour for 2 days because this was about to happen, and I wanted you to see it. This is the Monarda that I've been waiting on to figure out which one it was. Whether it was the purple Monarda fistulosa, which is the wild bergamot, or if it was the Monarda didyma, which is the red one, which is bee balm. So now I know it's the purple one, which I probably could have guessed because if I get to pick the color on something and black is not available, then I go to purple. So it should have been the purple one. But, you know, I also just get whatever seeds I can get. And if I'm looking for a Monarda and it was whatever was available, then that's what I would have done. But I am very glad that it is the purple. They are a medicinal plant that we can use. We might save some for teas. We'll see what happens. Back here, I also have my green twister echinacea, which has been growing since the summer of 22, the summer of 20. So it has its one flower that came up, and it's got lots more ready to go. And it's beautiful. I can't wait. It had a few flowers. I think it made maybe 5 all year last year, and it has more buds than that right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing this get big and huge and gorgeous. And then, of course, you know, I have a nasturtium tucked back there. And I think the trick to growing nasturtiums in a climate like North Texas is to stick them in the shade, put them behind other plants, put them in corners, put them under other plants that are going to get big. I have been checking them out, putting them in different places around the yard, and the ones in full sun are struggling so badly. And the ones that get partial shade or mostly shade are rocking. So if you want to grow nasturtiums in a warm climate, I think that's going to be your trick. It has taken me quite a few years to figure out how to get nasturtiums to do pretty much anything. But they're doing it, and I love it. Yay, and they're so tasty. Very tasty. Eat them. This is the other medicinal plant that I was really excited to show y'all because it was about to flower. It has had these buds for weeks, and I came out last night and they were just starting to open, and I guess I missed the window because a lot of them are already closed, but my marshmallow is blooming. It makes such beautiful little flowers. This is my first time to see them bloom. I planted these last year also. They look like they have a whole bunch of buds and they're just about to explode, so hopefully. So here we are at the Fuji Apple Guild. That has filled in a lot since the last time you saw it. There might be apples in there, I'm not sure. I'm actually pretty blind and I don't wear any vision correction unless I have to go someplace, and I don't go anyplace, so there might be apples up there. The things I'm most excited about in this guild are I put in some mulleins and I made a spiral of them, and they're going to finish up around a holy basil. Mulleins are biennials, so this year they're going to make a big rosette of leaves, big, and that holy basil is going to get big and become a big bush with these huge, beautiful plates of leaves around it. And then next year, if the holy basil reseeds itself there, then it'll, make its own big, gorgeous bush again. But then the mulleins are going to grow their big flower spikes up to 6 or 7 feet next year, and there are 8 of them in this spiral. So that should be really, really gorgeous. Lots of visual appeal for next year. And lots of medicine. Leaves of mullein are lung medicine. Flowers of mullein are ear medicine. And this is where I was talking about we have that other yarrow, the other pink yarrow. And it's growing in between the comfrey. And I have been harvesting comfrey to feed to different spots around the garden, to feed to the worms. Use some in a bath. They've been going into the compost. So I'm going to cut down one of these comfreys all the way. Probably the one that is surrounding the yarrow. The yarrow got planted when the comfrey was just a root cutting underground and we couldn't see it, so they're sharing a hole essentially. But I think if I cut back this comfrey, it'll give that yarrow a little bit more room to fill in. It'll only be a couple of weeks before the comfrey's back and fighting for its position. So That should be good. Y'all know how I kept showing you the tomato wall in the corner down there by the oak tree and saying that I needed to move it? Guess what? I moved it. It was very awkward to move. It is 16 feet long and my wingspan is 5'5". I'm 5'4". And yeah, that was hard to move by myself, but I did it because I am stubborn. And I have tomatoes planted finally. So I have a Brad's Atomic Grape on the end, and that was the first tomato to appear, was my Brad's Atomic Grape. And my Brad's does not look like it was designed by Tim Burton this year. So super bonus there. It's the first year my Brad's has not grown up looking wild. So I have that one, and I have a black cherry in the middle and a blueberries at the end, and then everything else in between is slicers. I know there's a Thorburns terracotta up here. I know there's a Berkeley tie-dye up here. I forget what the other two are. They're tomatoes. They'll be big. They'll be yummy. Doesn't matter. I do have some basils planted in here, and of course some nasturtiums. And you might have seen, did you see the turmeric? Hang on, watch. Look. The turmerics I planted last year are coming up. I took the one that was in that pot that I showed you earlier and divided it. And now I'm going to have turmeric all over the place, which is good because it has gotten hard to find in the store. And this isn't even turmeric that I got in the store. This is turmeric that a friend of mine down in Houston messaged me, and they were like, "Do you need black turmeric?" And I was like, is there anybody who does not need black turmeric? Because yes. And then they sent me some. And so, Opal, I love you forever. All right, there's more tomatoes over there. Let's go see them. They're also very small. So this is my normal tomato area. This is the first tomato wall that I put in. And this is my Cherokee Purple for the year. I keep trying others, and I do like Thorburns terracotta is amazing. It is, I can't wait to eat them. And Carbon is such a dark tomato, and it's so savory, but I don't know. Maybe because Cherokee Purple is the first tomato that I grew and the first like homegrown tomato that I ate, but it just always has my heart. They're so yummy, and I'm excited for it. And if you notice at the top of this it's coated welded wire. The squares are 4 inches by 2 inches. And up at the top, I have it set to where it goes up and over the fence. So last year, what I did it the year before too, is when they got to the top, I stopped pruning them. And very soon I will do a video where I go over like how I tie up my tomatoes, how I prune them. I single stem at the very beginning, and then once they get a couple of feet high, I go to double stemming. Once they go over the fence, I stop pruning them, partially because they're just going to hang down over the fence, and I could go on the other side and prune them, but it's just wild by that point. And that happens about when it's fall tomato time, and it's great to get that extra crop off the back of the fence. And it's also there for neighbors. But the other reason that I stop pruning them when they get up to 6 feet tall is because I am short, and that is very high for me to reach to prune accurately without accidentally beheading a plant, which I have done. So that's how we do this now. These tomatoes have a ways to go. I will be sure to share with you, don't worry. This is my remaining point of tomato shame. This I call the tomato cage. It had a gigantic holy basil in the middle of it last year that took up the whole space. And I didn't get in there to cut out the skeleton of that. And then all the grass grew up around it, and I need to get in here, take this cage out, clear cut the ground, cardboard over it, and start all over in this bed eventually. I do have cherry tomatoes that are waiting to go on here, and I am probably going to throw one more Cherokee Purple on this one as well. So if you'd like to know what I am shaming myself for right now, it's this. You know this spot, don't you? This is the oak tree that's had all the problems, and it is looking so much better. we've put the buckwheat under it I told you about. I had seeded it, but it hadn't come up yet. And then I went and put sweet potatoes in as well. So those will all fill in and help the tree receive water. This was just clay. It was nasty, just clay. And I think most of the water was just sheeting down. Even in rains and stuff, it's on a slope and it was solid clay, so I don't think it was soaking in. But all of that mulch on there, it's just, it's from chip drop. It's like mixed everything from a tree. And that has really helped. That has helped the soil get more fungal dominated, which trees love. And then putting the roots into the ground between the buckwheat and then especially the sweet potatoes is really, really going to help it take off. So that tree is doing a lot better. And I told you we were doing the carrot flowers. And they are gorgeous. They're really starting to open and be beautiful. We do have another marshmallow back here. This one is younger. The big one over there went in early last year, like in the spring, and this one went in the fall. And then I have a lemon balm back there that I transplanted. I split my lemon balm. I need to split a lot more of my mints, but I got the pineapple mint and lemon balm done. And so some of that lemon balm is back here now. And there is a dwarf comfrey I put into the other one. Looks like it didn't make it. We'll see. They might pop up. They're stubborn. They're tough. But if not, the one that is in there will spread. So that is exciting. And they stay smaller and they grow in the shade. So it won't be, the big overwhelming like the other ones are that would really dominate this space. It's going to be just little ones. And when they hit the spot where it gets too sunny, they'll stop, is what I understand. And then you might have seen it over there. There's turmeric. And then if you look between the bucket and back up this way, I have some King Strophoria. They got delayed. They had some sort of a thing, so they gave me a discount. So on my next item, so now I also have some oyster mushrooms on the way. The oysters will be here Sunday, but we're going to grow those, or Saturday, but we're going to grow those indoors. The King Strophoria, the wine cup mushrooms, are going to go back here. And then I'll probably scatter them around just a couple of other places. And apparently you use those similar to portobellos, but I haven't done it yet, so we'll have to learn about that together. So here we are in the Golden Delicious Guild, and this one actually has apples that I can see. It has 7 apples to be precise, and there are 4 people in this house, so that is enough for this year. This is a dwarf, a semi-dwarf, I'm sorry, Golden Delicious apple. It came from Stark Brothers, and it was a bare root a year and a half ago. Pretty quick to produce apples, very, very exciting. And then down here we have this comfrey that keeps making like weird buds instead of like the normal ones. Normal, weird. So if you happen to know what is up with that, let me know. It's a Bocking 14. I'm not concerned about it. I don't think something's wrong with my comfrey. I don't think my comfrey's dying or poisoned or whatever. It's just doing something weird, and I want to know what it is because it's really cool. These don't seem to ever flower. So these buds have been here longer than other like flower spikes have come up, budded, flowered, and dropped their flowers. These have stayed exactly the same during that whole thing. Totally bizarre. No idea. But it's cool. And, ooh, sorry for the big shadows. And of course I recently showed you Winter's Pine Berries and how well they're doing. And they are just sending runners everywhere. So that is going to be a delicious adventure very, very soon. So we just have 2 more little plants to look at. Little for now. And then I'm going to tell you about the big secret project. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to tease you a lot. Because that's what mean gardeners do. I don't know. Anyhow, check this out. So, do you remember in the end of the last tour, you met Katie over here, and we were talking about, we had that Moon and Stars watermelon that we'd had our fill of watermelons. It was the last one. It was not quite ripe. Freeze came. Blah, 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 blah. We decided to leave it here and see what happened. First, it got gross and oozy, and then it dried out, and then it wasn't making any plants, and somebody said throw dirt on it, and so I did. I threw soil on it, And now this is happening. So it has lots and lots and lots of little Moon and Stars watermelon plants in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come divide them, and they don't like having their roots disturbed. So I'm going to make sure that I try to get it into 5 clean chunks. There's 20 or so plants in here. So if I get 4 or 5 chunks, I'll have 4 or 5 plants per chunk. And if I get a 20% survival, that'll be good, because then I'll have 4 or 5 plants. And there is another couple of them like in the grass right over there. These are delicious. If you haven't grown Moon and Stars, they are beautiful. They have red flesh or yellow flesh. This is a red. I don't know, they're just really tasty. They're sweet, but not cloying. They're really beautiful fruits. So check into those if you're interested in watermelons, and there's still time to start them if you're in North Texas. I keep seeing coming up in garden groups, like, is it too late to start sweet potatoes? Is it too late to start peppers? No, we have the longest growing season. It is eternally long. It is exhaustingly long. There is time. You can still do it. Let's go look down there. I know that I've mentioned the cursed ground to you. I don't know if I've ever actually showed you, but this is the area that did not want to grow anything last year. It would not even grow comfrey. But I had put some blackberries in that I got when I got the Golden Delicious tree, and they weren't doing well. They were struggling, but they survived. There's one here and there's one right outside the fence. And they have both put on a second cane. Is this the cane? Yes. They've both put on a second one. So the first one's flowered, and then we had a really hot early heat wave and they unflowered themselves. But this second one, this will produce fruit next year, and this should do much better. So this is exciting. It's not this year's fruit, but it's future fruit, and we'll have some that we'll be able to dig up and divide soon. Okay, so the big secret project. I've mentioned that it's going to go back here. This is the cucurbit bed for like melons that want to trellis, and I'll put some pumpkins over here possibly. I need to rework this bed too. It's another point of shame. I get to things, I do my best, you know how it is. But I do have a secret project coming in here. It is big, and it's gonna cost me some up front. So I'm gonna go ahead and mention this. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee. I have a $3 a month donation set up on there. All you receive for that is, hey, thank you, I appreciate it. Hopefully later I'll be able to put up some stuff with gifts for your donation at larger levels, but right now that's all it is. And I do have a PayPal if you want to send money to PayPal as a one-time help out. Then just put for the secret project and I'll know what it's for and I'll set it aside. Here's what I will tell you. It is going to be awesome. It is going to be exciting. Right now I'm doing the reading for it. Here's my plan. I'm going to read the first book you're supposed to read. I'm going to start the second book, and then I'm going to order all the stuff I need for it. And then I'm going to see how quickly I can get going. I am not ordering this stuff for it before I finish reading the first book, because I will get myself into trouble that way. I have a way of diving headfirst into things, so to make sure I do my homework. But if you would like to help out, I would appreciate it. If you just want to watch and see what it is, that's awesome too. It will be happening this summer. I just don't know exactly how soon, and I will be sure to share all of the details with you. So this will be the last garden tour from 6 weeks ago. If you want to do a compare and contrast on the gardens and how they're growing. I will see y'all next week. Later, y'all.